I'd like to open up the phone line, 736-0186. On Facebook yesterday, I posed the question, would you have voted for Donald Trump? And I just want to share a few of the responses. Someone said sure would have. Luann told us that she sure would have voted for Donald Trump. Denise says no. Her issue is that he claims to be a Republican but supports Democrats with his financial donations. And Jay commented that maybe he finally got the message that he should stop what he's doing.
I thought he'd be a great candidate. He would certainly make it interesting, more fun. He'd be a great pundit, and Saturday Night Live would just eat this up, give us all a good time on Saturday. So it's unfortunate. However, what are your thoughts on maybe it coming across a little hypocritical that he is not releasing his financial information about, how much he's really worth and his financial dealings, considering that he did push to have the president reveal, his really deliver his birth certificate, which he finally did. And he said he would do it. He says, I will release my financial disclosure forms if he releases his birth certificate. And that's yet to happen. So I'm waiting to see if that'll ever happen.
I don't know that it will. It's an interesting point. I found it interesting where he said yesterday, maybe it doesn't surprise me. He said if he had run, he would have won, but he's not running. I mean, come on.
But listen, what a smart businessman. He's got The Apprentice going. He's getting a lot of attention. Yes. I mean, this is a very, very smart business move, and you can't knock him for that. Maybe he was really never going to run. Maybe he was just trying to generate some interest to help boost his ratings on The Apprentice.
Could be. He had the support. He could have won. He had the Democrats' endorsement if he wanted it, but he didn't want it. And then in Utica, he could have got the endorsement, and he would have run re-election. Republicans and Democrats are calling on him to run again, but he's not. To me, it's almost like he's saying, like the Donald did, had I run, I would have won, but I'm not going to run. Interesting.
You're right, and that's fair. That's a fair question, to ask the man. But at the same time, you do have to wonder about. I mean, he is a human being at the end of the day. We're all people. Some people go into public service because they want to help make their community a better place and so forth. But it is a tough job, as you can see. You certainly get scrutinized. And at some point, some people say, you know what, enough is enough. And it seems like he's actually come out and said, you know what, I've had enough of the scrutiny, and I've really missed out on a lot of family time. And maybe he did have an epiphany. Maybe he did have a revelation that said, you know what, I'm not getting any younger. Maybe I do need to spend more time with my family and attend to my business, because he is a business owner, and maybe that's a fair thing. I mean, not everything has to be so political. Maybe he weighed out his options. He did fire 3 people, so it was a very contentious, end of 2010 for his administration. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I would agree. It was interesting. We other than to say we were going in a different direction, he never really revealed what prompted him to fire Linda Sullivan-Furtado, Robert Sullivan, and Robert Palmieri, who interestingly last night got the Democratic Party's endorsement to run for mayor. And
it's politics. People are always looking. There's never a definitive answer. But I am very interested in, we'll all be watching what happens to the Harbor Point project and some other projects that are taking place, especially by USC. That whole area, they're going to get some new loft buildings. So there's a lot of good things happening in Utica, and I really see that the future is going to be very, very bright if things stay on course as far as development is concerned. So I'm very excited.
736-0186, 736-0186. You've got something on your mind, you want to sound off, talk about the Donald, or something else that's been in the news, 736-0186. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll be talking to Gene O'Toole from the New York Beef Council, who I love when she comes in studio.
Because she brings you food.
She does. I don't know if she will today, though.
Okay.
With what we're talking about, but still very happy to have Jean with us. And we still got some time for some questions or comments. 736-0186.
Yes, Jean O'Toole is lovely. But what's going on with the IMF chief? What is happening to Dominique Cross-Kahn? What is happening? What just happened?
We'll talk about that. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about that. Really a shocking story, and we'll give you the update coming up here on First Look.
It's delicious. This may just be what's for dinner tonight, guys. I hope you brought the recipe. Because
Yes, I do. You've got it right there.
All right, great. Because this is absolutely delicious. I wish we could, share this with our listening audience.
Well,
I know
there's a bunch of them outside just waiting. I was in the lobby and they're like, "Man, that smells good. I just smell my car."
We have to lock the door.
Yeah, the sales staff was heckling Jean in the lobby. What do you got there? Oh,
I heard somebody say beef out here. Jean's got to be here. She brought food.
Newt Gingrich came out in support of it over the weekend on Meet the Press, which I thought was very, very interesting. He actually supports the mandate, the individual mandate, which a lot of people were very surprised to hear, considering who he is, his very vocal attack on the president and his policy. And he also came out against Paul Ryan's radical, his words, budget plan. So I thought, although he is backtracking now, he apologized. He made a public statement apologizing to the Republican Party and to Paul Ryan, which is also very interesting. But he supports this health care reform law. Wow. I mean, again, I really support caning. I think caning goes a long way when it comes to these types of issues. It's just horrible. But back to the cybersecurity, right. I really learned a lot. And can you talk a little bit more about the program? And you mentioned that is incredibly relevant right now.
Exactly. This is one of these programs that you could get information on a Saturday and take it home and start using it that afternoon, that evening. It's not that great of a challenge for them. They'll go find somebody else.
So ultimately what you're saying is about prevention. And right. That's one of the things I also learned is 60% of cybersecurity is really basic common knowledge and right. Setting up these protection in order, right. Like changing your password, right. Having passwords to protect your wireless router, and it's really not as scary as people might right. want to think it right. is. It's not a foreign thing. It's really just about knowing how to protect yourselves, and you can even compare it to as simple as locking your door,
right?
Leaving
exactly.
your light on.
Right.
Basic security measures that you can take that actually applies to cybersecurity. I thought that was really user-friendly for me.
Well, we've learned now, we're being told by a couple of different groups that information was not changed. And again, the information went out that said you had to be able to read and write English to vote on your school district budgets. That is not the case. You do not need to read or write English to be able to vote. I don't know. Do you think people can understand what's going on without being able to read that information?
Well, but you can always have somebody there to help you translate.
Sure.
And you can bring someone with you if you don't know how to speak English or fully understand what's going on. But the rules are very clear. You do have the right to vote, and that's the most important thing. And hopefully this time around, the Utica School District will, change the forms. Now they say, obviously, it's just an administrative error.
I was going to say, I see on their website, and that's what reminded me, it says the correct voter requirements must be 18 years of age, a U.S. citizen, and reside in the city of Utica for more than 30 days.
Yes. And also, I just wanted to throw this out there as we're doing this staycation series. If you have any ideas about a place we should visit or any ideas that you may have, please send it our way at news@wibx950.com. You can also find us on Facebook and let us know of some ideas or different places that we can visit or know about, and we can also share that with everyone else.
Coming up, we've got 4 tickets to the MVC Aviation Day breakfast happening this Saturday. That's coming up on First Look. That's a good idea. So we were telling you about the head of the IMF, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, being arrested for attempted rape of a
maid
at an upscale Manhattan hotel. Waking up this morning in Rikers Island, which has got to be peculiar for him. For a guy with that much money to wake up in Rikers Island of all places this morning.
Well, of course. I mean, it's just shocking. The entire thing is just so shocking to me. The fact that he was pulled off an airplane and accused of such a heinous crime, so scary. Also, if this is also true, of course, this is all alleged. So we'll see what happens. For being the head of the IMF, why would he even, why would he put himself in that situation? But of course, people make up stories about others all the time. But you have to consider the past. This is not his first. This is not the first time he's been accused of misconduct on a sexual nature. There's a reporter who's actually saying she's going to open the case again. She said that once she came to interview him, and he allegedly tried to take her clothes off. And there's another incident as well where a woman actually accused him. They worked together. She accused him of wrongdoing, again of a sexual nature, and the IMF backed him, and she took a job somewhere else. She left the IMF, but all these things seem to indicate red flags about this type of behavior. But again, he's innocent until proven guilty, and his lawyers are saying he's innocent.